Okay, so we are going to be working on this pinned activity. It's 02.02, annotating for organization. So I'm going to click on it. The focus of today's activity is to really focus on organization. So we're going to trace the development of Adichie's ideas, identify particular sentences and paragraphs that develop her ideas, and then explain her point of view and how effectively she advances her point of view. You'll notice again I have a split screen. Here on this screen I'm going to open my writing folder, to the Think About, and to the Scoring Guide. And again, today we are going to be looking primarily at organization. So I'm going to move this over because it'll give us a little more space. Okay. So the first thing I recommend doing is looking at the lead and then the resolution, the conclusion. So if we open up our Danger of a Single Story and you have Scribble activated, you'll notice that I have highlighted the first sentence and kind of identified that as the lead. And I've made a little note here. You can do that by just clicking on it, and then here you can add, right here you can add a comment. Okay. So for me, the lead is that she introduces herself as a storyteller, but then she kind of talks about her history as an early storyteller, to kind of lead us into this idea that here how impressionable and vulnerable we are in the face of a story. Also at the bottom, very bottom, I've come down, and these last three paragraphs are kind of her conclusion in my mind, and she kind of finishes up with this final sentence about rejecting the single story and regaining paradise. And so the question I have is, what is good about her conclusion and what does it lack, or what could be improved about it? Now the next thing that we're going to do, once you've kind of looked at the lead and the resolution and kind of thought about it and made some comments, is we're going to look kind of at this, mostly here, at how she structures the body. What we're going to do is kind of try to reverse engineer her her talk. And so a lot of times when you are writing a talk, you'll start out by writing an outline and then filling out the outline with the actual words of your talk. And in this case, since we have the actual words of the talk, what we're going to do is create the outline for her talk. So you'll notice that I've gone through here and I've highlighted in this kind of bluish purple. It looks blue, but then sometimes it looks purple. But I've highlighted where I kind of identify the organization of her talk. And in those comments, I kind of give a quick summary of what that section is about. So here we have the single story of Fide, and then the next part we have, and you'll see it light up, is the single story of Adichie as an African and the beginning of the single story of Africa. And I noticed, because she uses the word pity, that it parallels the single story of Fide. And then it kind of comes down here to the Western development of a single story of Africa, which is here. Okay, and the way Adichie changes how she identifies herself from Nigerian to Africa. And then the next part focuses on the single story of Africa from Western literature. That came up a couple times. And then here, where she talks about different versions of a single story and how we're vulnerable to these single stories. And so it kind of goes on here as I'm reading. Sorry, it's kind of glitchy. Anytime I see kind of a shift in the organization, then I make a note. And what I did after that, and I've shared it with you, is I've created kind of a basic outline of her entire talk and how it goes. And you'll notice that it's got one or two words that kind of jog our memory about what she's talking about. I've bolded some places that I feel like are important. And so as I look at these bolded words and look at the development of her overall talk.